Hello, everyone. This is Ortrun Franklin and Carl,
Carl.
and we're here this evening for Star Nations, the Mystery School. We want to welcome every one of you for being part of this program. We certainly appreciate your tuning in, and we also appreciate those that come back and listen to the recorded version, come back to the archives. So this evening, we're going to be speaking about a topic that I feel is extremely important. And that topic is going to be meditation. And meditation has been a big part of my life. I actually never realized that I already knew how to meditate until after I had been into meditation for a while. But years ago, over 40 years ago, when I became part of Coptics, I was told by the one that heads up Coptics, John Davis, well, find a specialty. And I thought, what could I do as a specialty? And then I realized, I thought, I can lead meditations. I think I can lead meditations. So it started quite slowly. So what I would first do in that whole arena would be, because of my lack of self-confidence at that time, is I would find a poem to start out with and then move into that and read it more in a meditative state. And then after that, I would start somehow going into my inner self. And that's when people noticed that I was actually allowing my essence to flow through. And people really, truly enjoyed that. So that was my beginning of it, and my husband, he has something here that he wants to say. So
yeah, Neshi's. We're on together here. Neshi,
yes, Neshi's on there too.
You're being ignored here. Hi, Neshi.
Sorry about that, Neshi.
No. You don't have to be sorry, because you know what I'm doing right now is I'm sharing and liking the show and making sure that the show is shared across a couple of different places. So You guys go ahead, do what you got to do, and I'll come back when I'm done. Okay.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, this show has the potential of being a life changer. If you do not regularly meditate now, and if the show encourages you or motivates you to do that, I can guarantee that it will change your outlook, probably your beliefs. It will change your thinking patterns. It will change your behavior patterns. And it will connect you with a world that you otherwise would not even know existed. Because it's only in the alpha state, the meditative state, that you can make meaningful contact with the beings that are here that cannot be seen with our physical eyes. We live in a world that is far more complex and exciting and with so much more potential than our limited conscious mind can comprehend. So I would encourage you to take seriously this and consider incorporating this as a part of your daily routine.
Well, I definitely agree with what Carl is saying. And if you look back in history, the sages, the masters, they all used meditation in order to connect, to go within. And what they did by doing that is it became such a part of them that they then were prototypes for us. They are walking within themselves, having both the heaven and earth. They were able to create heaven and earth because it allowed them to go into that space of love, peace, joy, goodness. They started to experience all of those aspects. They became enlightened. That was really the purpose, and is still the purpose of meditation. Meditation is the process of going within. Meditation comes from the Latin word actually of educere, and educere means educator. So when you go within and you meet with that universal aspect of yourself, that divine aspect within yourself, you meet that educator, the divine educator, the educator within. And the word education, interestingly enough, is ducere, which means a path or a duct. And so, in other words, you're tapping in, you are connecting with that divine educator, and that is then guiding your path to higher consciousness. So I think that is very self-explanatory. Hi, Connie. How are you? Good to see you tonight. And it's very, very different than prayer in that prayer is actually more of a, I'm going to say, just an asking. When we go into prayer, we say what we want to say, and usually we close it with an amen, which cuts it off. There's also this new terminology that's used even in more of a traditional churches. It's now called listening prayer. And listening prayer is then that combination of meditation. It's that combination of what meditation is. It's that praying, speaking to the divine within, and then listening. And that's the most important part, I believe, of the whole meditation process is the listening process. Because if you do that, then you do get that guidance from the divine aspect of self.
Neshi, what are your thoughts?
About meditation? I tell you what, I love it. I always have. My mother is the one that introduced us to meditation, and it wasn't in the formal sense. It was, I have 4 brothers, and 2 of them around my age. So whenever we were not behaving the way she wanted us to behave, especially when we were playing outside, she'd come out and she'd stop what we were doing, and she would place us around the yard where we couldn't look at each other, and we had to sit until she told us we could get up. And so that are my early days of learning how to sit and be quiet and dealing with the mind that's going all kinds of places. And after a while, being able to actually quiet that down and then notice what's going on around me, nature, and being quiet. And so that started my meditation very, very young. But and you're right, Carl, when you have a meditation in your lifestyle, not a practice, I don't call it a practice. When you have it in your lifestyle, you don't get as frazzled during the day. You know, you're a little bit more grounded and even throughout the day is what I find. So I love meditation.
Now, at that time, you probably didn't realize that you're meditating. No, because I never realized that I was meditating earlier on either until I started really actually, meditating. And for me, it is a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just becomes, when you utilize that discipline, eventually it becomes so much a part of you that though you're in the meditative state most of the time, it's rare that you actually come out of that meditative state because you always have that connection.
Mm-hmm.
The divine ones, your angels, masters, guides, they are with you always anyhow, but by utilizing meditation, you've allowed them to communicate with you and to become a part of you. So they're there, they're around you all the time. And so the communication is very, very easy then.
Right. And I liked what you said about the listening, because to me, meditation is one half of the conversation that you have with spirit. When we're in meditation and we're quiet, we're still, we're listening to them, our spiritual team. And when we're praying, it's our portion that where we're using our words, our desires, our wants, our needs to be expressed. And so we're talking and they're listening. That's kind of how I see it.
In prayer, we're usually asking.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to share some personal history, if I might take a couple of minutes.
For yourself?
Yes,
sure.
yes. I was a Lutheran minister, and while I was in the ministry, I got picked up a master's in psychology, And one of the professors talked a little bit about the subconscious. I mean, a little bit, like 15 minutes. And I made a resolution. I was going to do everything in my power to learn to use my subconscious and my conscious mind. I couldn't believe that God gave us both without expecting us to learn to use them. And in that degree program, I learned that the subconscious is far and away the larger part of our mind. And, why aren't we taught? Well, anyway, it wasn't 6 months later, a master came into my life. He had been a Jesuit monk most of his adult life. And for some reason, he left. And he was now earning his livelihood as a hypnotist in surgical theaters with patients that could not take anesthetics. So he was able to get people down to a very, very deep level so they didn't experience the pain. And anyway, he was in his 70s, never married, no children, kind of a lonely old fella. And he came and lived with us for a couple of months, and I got to be one of the best students he ever had. And anyway, that's when I began meditating. And almost immediately, instead of having to spend 20 hours a week preparing a sermon, I would read the lessons over several times and go into a meditative state and just, Father, what do you want these lessons to say to your people? And instantly, I would have the sermon title, I would turn on the dictaphone, and the sermon would come through me, not from me. And the insight into these lessons was much deeper than anything they ever taught in seminary or I had ever thought of. Wow. Okay. And that was like 45 years ago. And so I've been meditating on a regular basis ever since then. And what it's done for me, it's introduced me and put me in a contact and in communication with things that most people don't even know exist. The devas or the nature spirits, the angels that work with me, the higher aspects of myself, and the consciousness of being able to communicate with literally anything that you focus on in nature, and the ability to attract to yourself that you want or need, the ability to talk with the organs and the devas within my own body for healing purposes and so on. I mean, it opens up a whole panorama of things that our conscious mind and our five senses do not have the ability to connect with. Mm-hmm. And we naturally go through this meditative state, or I'm going to call it the alpha state. Something else I learned in my master's program is right now we're at about 22 brainwaves per second. And the subconscious mind does not surface until the conscious mind slows down to about 13 brainwaves per second. Then it slowly begins to surface. The further we slow the conscious mind, the more of the subconscious that surface until we hit 7 brainwaves per second. Then the conscious mind clicks off and we are asleep. But between 8 and 13, we're working out of the conscious and subconscious minds together. It's a state of ingeniousness, and it is the subconscious mind that can deal with all of these things that the conscious mind is totally unaware of. So to go into that state and to reach out and ask, but also to send energy out. So, okay, it's phenomenal. It is, as I say, it's a life-transforming thing to do. And I can't urge people strongly enough, try it. You might like it.
Mm-hmm. Which brings me to the area where I have so many clients, or I have had over the years, that basically say, oh, I can't meditate. Mm-hmm. Or, I just don't have time to meditate. So what I try and get across to people is that it's not something that you have to do for half an hour or an hour. That you can take just a few moments, actually, even to meditate. And as Carl said, and most people don't recognize and realize that they actually are experiencing the meditative state 2 times a day, as they're going to sleep at night and as they're waking up. So that is the first place that they can start. That's the easiest place for them to start, is to start speaking and asking that those divine ones be with them. And then they can plan their day, or they can also plan their sleep so that they can have a better sleep and to be able to problem solve and all kinds of things in that sleep state.
Mm-hmm.
And have some wild out-of-body experiences while you're sleeping too.
And I think that's a little bit more advanced, you know. At first, you don't necessarily experience, you know, all of that. But getting back to them, people probably have even meditated and they don't realize it. For instance, I know that I wasn't meditating. You know, you didn't know you were meditating when you were sitting there still and getting in touch with nature. But that's meditation. It's a part of meditation. It's a way of getting into that space. And I used to sit in a dentist chair, and they'd be working on me, and I'd focus on a leaf or a dot on the wall or whatever, and I would just stare at it. And the dentist would always say, "How can you do that?" You know, because I didn't use Novocaine or medications for it. And they just couldn't understand because they were not necessarily maybe easy feelings. They were a little deeper, something that would be much more painful. Mm-hmm. So, but I was able to do that. And that was something that was automatic for me. And so what that allowed me to recognize is that I apparently must have had some exposure to that before. And I'm going to say probably even before I came into this lifetime. And maybe all of us have some of that, you know, right?
Right.
But but we are given that gift of being able to go into the silence, whether we recognize it or not. Now, as I mentioned before, I have so many individuals that have said to me, you know, I can't meditate. And a large portion of that is because they can't quiet that mind or their brain. It's the brain part of their mind that they can't quiet. And and this can be a real problem for them. And beginners that are moving more into spirituality or into metaphysics, they may end up trying to change their habits and their patterns by utilizing affirmations. And really, even in the ancient ones, you know, and even the teachings of the ancient ones now, they will have mantras that you can speak. But that's really only the beginning of the whole meditation process, because that's really to bore your mind is really what it's for, is so that because your mind is flittering all over, the brain is flittering all over the place. And by saying that mantra or that affirmation over and over again, it starts to settle in on just one thought, that focusing of thought. Mm-hmm. But if you take a moment and take a few deep breaths along with that, or do this kind of thing as you're going to sleep, it's so much more effective and so much more powerful, because as Carl said, you are then utilizing that space where you're moving from the conscious into the subconscious mind. And if you're saying an affirmation or a mantra, it is going in much more deeply into your subconscious mind. Where if you're saying it in the awake state, it's like saying it once. You're saying it once to your brain, and you're saying it once. It eventually will slowly get into that subconscious. So whatever change you're trying to make within yourself, or what you're trying to create, can take quite a while. But if you take, you know, a few deep breaths and start breathing and relaxing into that space, and you can tell that you are in that space with certain phenomena of your body. And I'm going to tell you a few of those in a second. But if you do that, then you can, it'll occur for you so much quicker, because, you know, it's like the subconscious is picking that up now about 100 to 200 times in comparison to the one time that it heard it when you were saying it in the wake state.
Can I give
yes,
really? Go ahead, Neshi.
No, I was just going to say that especially when you're first starting to consciously take time to meditate, one of the things that I noticed a long time ago is that when I am giving my mental mind something to do, it's easier for me, that part of me that can feel that meditation, to come closer to the surface. So believe it or not, dishes, ironing,
yes,
something that's repetitive that you don't have a lot of problem solving to have to do will help you kind of have your mental mind be busy with a task where the other part of you, that subconscious part of you, can come to the surface.
Where the mental mind is on automatic.
Yes. And the other one that I really like a lot, especially for beginners, is to count. It's just when you get started. And I know, Carl, you use that method.
Yeah. This is what if you want to meditate, first of all, make yourself comfortable. And it's best to have your spine straight, whether you're sitting up or laying down. And close your eyes and then focus your conscious mind on your breathing. And I think that in my experience, this is probably the most common way that most people use. And you begin to count your breaths. And what you can feel in your body as you exhale, you can feel your muscles let go and relax. And I suggest as you breathe in, the visualization with your eyes are closed now, the visualization is what you're breathing in is air that is white light too. And that white light goes into your lungs, the blood picks it up and is carrying that white light to all of the cells in your body. And with each breath, as you exhale, your relaxation is deeper. And as you inhale, you're becoming very, very peaceful in your mind. And because your mind is focused with I'm going to call it a mundane task, though a crucial, an essential task, with the repetition bores the conscious mind. And so the mind slows down as the body relaxes. And those are the two criteria in order to meditate. Body relaxed and mind brain waves down to 8 to 13 per second. Okay. And whenever that happens, whether it's falling asleep, waking up, washing dishes or ironing or whatever, you automatically go into that beautiful, peaceful alpha state. And in that state, you can do innumerable number of things. To pray in that state and also to ask questions and expect to get answers. It's tremendous. Hey, we don't need the computer or the encyclopedia. We can, it's all available to us. It's all in our mental cloud. Okay.
Right. It's that universal educator that's there, that's within you, that's able to give you, those answers. But there are different levels. It depends on what you want to focus in on. And usually the beginner, and the only reason why I'm bringing this up tonight is because, we feel that when we are in this group that most of us have done this, and most of us are experienced meditators. But yet there are many, when I speak of that to people that have been in metaphysics for a long time, well, no, I don't really, I don't really meditate. I can't, I still can't meditate, and so on. And there's some fear of it. There's all kinds of things. So that's what I'm trying to get across, that it's nothing to be afraid of. But most of the time, when you begin with what is called meditation, is you're focusing more on, I'm going to say, your outer world, the things that you want to change of the outer world, or things that you want to create or come into your into your world. For instance, Carl's one of his examples always for me is he's had 99 cars, and his whole tell them how you create that. You
go into meditation and you visualize what it is you want and visualize what it is you're willing to give for it in terms of money. And well, I'm going to tell you a story of a garden tractor. We had a big yard, and we bought an old farmhouse when we first got married, and it was just too much to use with a push mower. So I went into meditation, and I think 3 different times, 3 different days, and I asked for a riding mower, and nothing happened for about a week. But then one morning, as I was getting in my car to go to work, they said, Voss. Now, an implement dealer about a mile from us, name was Voss. So I took a different route, and as I pulled into their parking lot, they were wheeling out the very tractor I had been visualizing that they had taken in on trade the night before. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of power that you have if you believe it and are willing to do it.
And that's very much another thing, is that to believe, to trust that this can happen for you. And I think he more quickly learned that than I did. So for me, it would take a little while. And what would happen with me is I would ask and put out, to the universe. I wasn't even talking about it like the universe back then. I would just put the thoughts out. And then it would really come to more like a time where I was mundanely doing my dishes, or when I needed the answer, or when, so that's what would happen for me originally, at the beginning, is it would pop in at some time when I would all of a sudden, oh, okay. But I got to the point where, I was a systems analyst for years, and that the computer work can be quite hard. It's not only just analyzing and creating a system, but what we had to do that. Plus we had to do all the coding for it and then testing it, making sure that it works properly. And so sometimes even the coding can be hard for it to see, for it to work properly. And so I would you'd get frustrated. Many people would, when they're stuck on something. And I would just finally just sit back and take a deep breath. And I'd say, okay, gurus of programming, be with me now. And then the answers would come just like that. It was a way of asking the ones that were working with me to assist. And the more and more that you do that, starting slowly, but the more and more that those things occur for you and you see results, the more that you will trust the process. And that's a large part of it, is trusting the process and knowing that you are actually being heard. It may not be the very first time at the beginning, but I really encourage people not to give up on it. But even if they do it just a very small period of time, when they stop, it's almost like there's something that falls, and they're falling down into a pit again or something, because you don't even notice sometimes, because it's so subtle when you are getting into that process of meditating and starting to utilize it. It's like, I don't really notice anything. There's nothing going on here. But then when you stop, it's like, whoa, it's like you get slammed. So once you get into the process of doing that for a while, it's like you can't give it up.
Yeah.
You just recognize that this is something that is really, really a good thing for us to do. But Carl, he spoke about, and up to this point, we've spoken about the conscious mind. We've spoken about the subconscious mind, which is, the largest part of us. And most of the things that you begin with are more those, I'm going to say, in a sense, they're not mundane, but they're mundane because they're trying to make our life go better and, and so on. But then there's a point in time, and it usually doesn't happen for people right away, but maybe it does, depending on who you are and how spiritually inclined you are, is that you want to increase and become more connected with that higher aspect of self. So intention is very, very important. And so that's something to put out and to the ones that are around you, and that you're not even aware that are around you at that point, possibly. Because then when you start focusing more onto the spiritual aspect of these things, before, like I said, we were talking about a car or a tractor, or resolving an emotional situation that's going on within yourself, or a situation between, your husband and you, or whatever, things like that. But, or healing, that's a love. Those are all beautiful and lovely. But when you really desire to connect with that divine, as I call them, divine educator, that divine, so that you can receive that universal wisdom and understanding, and you allow yourself to go even deeper. And then there is that shift, because you've gotten to a space where you trust enough. There's a shift, and you move into yet what's called the superconscious mind. And that superconscious mind is that part of yourself where the I am presence, your higher essence, dwells. So you can be communicating with many, many different guides and masters, but to move into the more highly spiritual aspect of yourself, and the like the angels and the archangels and those of that level of awareness, that is sometimes doesn't happen right away. For instance, but it will. So don't give up on that. And also, like I said, the intention has to be there, and the trusting has to be there.
Neshi, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I'm kind of smiling at this because I got to echo here. I was curious of how many people in the chat have a meditation if they meditate. So I asked them if they do to type yes in, and Judy responded. Judy says, I have just started through the other wonderful ladies with their program. She's talking about Polly Joe and probably, me doing guided meditations with their programs. Love it. And it feels wonderful. So yeah. And Elena is saying, yes, I wish I could do more though.
Yes.
Okay, can I share, in case any of you ladies, and if there are any guys that listen to this that have some need for excitement, you can really have some exciting experiences with a meditation. And I'd like to share 3. One is I've had the privilege of visiting Inner Earth on 3 different occasions. Okay, and I'm not in my physical body, but my consciousness, my mind, my soul, my emotions are all there. I can see and experience everything that is there. And then also, I do a lot of work with helping people to move into the heavenly realm. And this may have been a reward, I don't know. But at one point when I was doing that work, I'm suddenly at the entrance to heaven, watching these people go by and seeing them as they go into the tunnel of light. And the deepest experiences I've ever felt in my life were right there, and watching that happen. The total peace, the unconditional love, and just feeling at one with the entire universe. It was just beyond anything I can even describe. And then just recently, looking down from a couple hundred miles above a huge 200-mile hurricane with 185-mile-an-hour winds, all right? And then being down in the hurricane, experience the wind, and talking to the air and the water divas and asking if they could cool it a little bit. I mean, and they did. They did. So you can have, but in order to do that, it's working out of the subconscious mind and the conscious mind together. And if you want these, I'm going to call them out-of-body experiences that can be significantly helpful for many people, and also very elucidating for yourself. Hey, meditation's the only way that I know of to gain them. So.
But I have to say, it can start slowly, and this is one of the.
It only took me 45 years.
Well, to do that kind of thing.
Well, I'm a slow learner, but anyway.
No. But the thing is even in the mystery schools, I remember Hamad Bey speaking about them, and they would spend some of the young initiates. They would spend 2 years of learning to focus, because it's not necessarily easy. Mm-hmm. And so it is a discipline. I want to mention that it is a discipline, especially if you're just starting. But I do think that if you recognize that you're in that meditative state, like you mentioned, with those mundane times, that the brainwave pattern is at that state, it helps you to understand and be able to tune in more often than you realize.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I was going to say with Elena, because I know Elena very, very well, and she says that she wishes she could meditate more, though I know she's very busy, but she's tuned in anyhow, and I would just like to mention that to her, that she is she's tuned in throughout the day anyhow, because she's so open to receiving the answers or the direction, from spirit. What she's talking about is she would like to spend more time in that deep meditation, where she can not have her children necessarily running around and taking all of her attention away. But I just want to really, really stress that most of us are doing more of it than we ever actually realize. And you spoke about nature. That's how you started, by being in nature. And nature is just an absolutely amazing thing. And if you're fortunate enough to be able to go to the beach and look up to the clouds and relax into that, and then thank you. And Carl and I, we used to have a boat, and we'd go out on our boat on Lake Michigan, and it would be very relaxing, just floating on the water, on the waves, just having that gently rock you. But I remember saying to Carl, and this is what he wasn't experiencing this at that time, and I said, "Can you see all that, the movement going on and the sky in the sky?" And he didn't.
The air divas.
It was the air divas. You could see the energy. You start seeing that, because when you're starting to meditate, and when you meditate, you're not focusing your brain anymore. What you're doing is you're just relaxing, and it's almost like your eyes want to drift.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're looking somewhere else, or looking over more to the side. And then when you think, oh, there's something there, or I see something flickering here, and then all of a sudden you jolt back to the conscious mind. Well, then that's when you've lost it. So when you start experiencing that kind of thing, because it's almost like you want to focus on it more, instead of doing that, relax into it, and you'll experience it even more and more.
Yeah, your periphery vision is where you see these things, not your direct vision.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, they call that having soft eyes.
Oh, okay.
Eyes. And for those of us who wear glasses, all we have to do is take our glasses off, and we have soft eyes already, because usually, it's because we can't see very far. Our long distance eyesight isn't quite as keen. And so when we take our glasses off, we automatically have soft eyes. Just so you know.
Is there any tradition of meditation or something like that in the American Indian tradition?
I was thinking about that, Carl. Some people confuse shaman spirit journeys, and I use that kind of a loose shaman when you're talking about Native Americans, because that's not our language. Many people confuse or don't know that you can be in a trance state without a drum. Because most people believe that in order to be in that trance state, that in-between state, is only if you have a drum. And that's not true. My Misho, my grandfather, never owned a hand drum. On occasion, he'd use his cane on the floor to get the beat, but he used breath work more than he did the percussion sound, and that's how I learned, was with breath work.
Okay.
And so over, you said 45 years, so I'm probably close to that, maybe 40, something like that, because I started quite young. When you have had this in a part of your life, that it's a lifestyle, it doesn't take you more than a few breaths to get there.
Yeah, right.
Right. And that's one of the things that I also, wanted to bring up, is because, I've taught meditation for many years to, initiates, with Coptic Mystery School and also the ministers, and teaching them also how to guide meditations, is to recognize that it doesn't really take that much. And in the article that I'm writing for Star Nations this month, that's going to be much more in depth, and that'll really be an outline if anyone is having difficulty with meditation. to try, these types of things, but is to, and so it may sound a lot longer, that it takes longer. We're talking about the 1, 2, 3 and the breath work, very quickly. He's got this one CD that he's made. It's called the Alpha State in 20 Seconds.
Yeah.
Because to take you into that's a self-hypnosis style, actually. And that's what most of us usually start with, is this self-hypnosis, whether we recognize it or not. But to really have a little bit of a ritual and maybe take some time, maybe give yourself that treat, that I'm going to say that spa treatment once a week. It'd be wonderful if you do it every day, but where you actually are, you turn on the music, you
light the candles.
Light a candle, right?
Get some oils,
fragrant
oils,
right? And start the music in a very gentle and soft music, and sit yourself down, and then start with that breathing, technique. And but it's really important that when you go into meditation, that there is an agenda. There's a reason for it. For instance, I know people that have tried to go into meditation and they are very, very upset. So I'm going to go into meditation. But if they don't have the intention of resolution in that meditation, it can get worse for them, because the energies will come to them. But if they have no desire to really, they don't realize they don't have that intent of that resolution. But you have to basically have that in your consciousness. I want to get an answer to this particular situation, instead of stewing it, because you can stew in it, because that energy can increase, and you feel worse. Mm-hmm. So it's important to actually be very respectful of knowing what it is you're working with.
I want to jump in here. Mm-hmm. It's extraordinarily important that in your meditation you be positive. Mm-hmm. Because meditation is going to amplify whatever you take in. And if you go in a negative mood or an angry mood or upset, and you don't deal with that in there, it's going to grow. And when you come out, the situation and you are going to be in worse shape. So get yourself ready for meditation before you get down into that beautiful alpha state.
Well, the other reason for setting some kind of an agenda is that if you start getting lost in something, then so that you can start, remember that agenda and go back into that focus of what it is that you are desiring to create at that particular time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because, especially at the beginning when you are starting this, it's like your brain keeps wanting to take over.
Yeah. Well, Judy has something here. She's saying, when my children were quite small, I was following the meditation program on my own and literally started to leave my body 3 times. I stopped, brought myself back, prayed to the Creator to keep me safe because it frightens me so badly. That's why I relearning with the guidance of you beautiful people and earth angels is a blessing.
Right. I myself have to say that when I first started meditating also, I'd be, it's important, like Carl said, keep your spine straight. So if you're more comfortable lying down, I know some of the disciplines say you have to sit. But as far as when I teach, I say, keep your spine straight. The divine creator knows what you can do and what you can't do. But I would start meditating and I would start relaxing. And then what occurred for me was I would feel all of a sudden this tugging, like there was something separating from me. Mm. And I'm sure it was, my body, my astral body lifting itself off somewhat, and moving into the higher realms. But it would scare me also. It'd be frightening me also. And I would pull myself right back. Mm. And what I did, because I knew that I needed to go further. I needed to, for me, it was a recognition that I needed to trust. And so what I did is then, if that happened, I would then begin to breathe even deeper and deeper again to set that mode of my moving in and recognizing that I am safe. I'm being guided. And the more and more that let me release into that. And then it becomes very natural and easy to.
Yeah, something that I want to add here that we've overlooked.
Okay.
When you first get down to level, protect yourself. And we all have, in my experience, we all have a body of spirit beings. They're angels and heavenly guides and higher aspects of ourselves and teachers. I refer to them as my spirit family. And whenever I go into meditation, I ask them to please build a protective bubble of light around me. And you can use your own imagery or terminology, but please ask for their protection. And the only thing that I allow to penetrate my bubble of light is that is for my highest good. So then I know that I am safe. And I will also ask them to, if I get off track, to guide me, to help me use that time in the way that is for the highest good, not only of myself, but of all that I might be meditating for. Mm-hmm. And to meditate for other people and to send them energy for healing or energy for relationships or whatever it is they might need, or energy for a job. You can help other people in their life more effectively with meditation than any other way that I know of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you touched something on there, Carl, about being safe and setting the parameters, your boundaries, right? Your however you want to call that, surrounding yourself with white light, with being grounded before you even start, to be connected to Grandmother Earth before you even start, and being protected. My grandpa, my Misho, used to always talk to me about self-discipline. Mm-hmm. It's not your playground. That's not where you go to play. Mm-hmm. You're if you have a purpose, go in, do what you have to get done, and then come back. You're in a human body. You're meant to be here, not there. That's what he used to tell me.
She mentioned going out of body and it frightening her.
Yeah.
If you are in a protected state, and if you have asked for your spirit family for guidance, there is nothing to be fearful of. Go out of body then. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Yeah. But to do it without being protected, yes, I would not advise that at all.
And that's, Judy, this is part of the reason why we utilize that calling upon our angels, our guides, our masters, because we feel that we have spirit families to surround us with that bubble of protective light. So only light and love can dwell. Only light and love can penetrate. Right. And again, like I said, it's the trusting. But if you prepare yourself during the day when you're meditating, or if you prepare yourself just before you go to sleep, and we really recommend that, waking up, going back to sleep, because you're going through that meditative state, then you are surrounded with the ones that are protecting you, so that when you go into that sleep state or into that meditative state during the day, you will be led to what it is that you are meant to experience.
Can you imagine, and this is something that both Ortrun and I do every day, as we're waking up, we go into meditation, and we ask that we be guided and directed. And if you have something that you want to accomplish that day, we ask for the wisdom, the help, the guidance to accomplish it in a most expeditious and enjoyable way. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we feel that we're never alone. There's always help available, and there's no reason to become overwhelmed or I'm going to say even upset.
And the more that, I'm going to say the more experience you have with, this worked fine, this was great, the more that you start to trust that whole process.
Yeah, right.
Trust. And that's a big part of it is the trusting that you are actually, I'm going to, see yourself being held in that, and, like comforted within a cloud, a cloud, and in the arms, even if you want to picture it being, Christ, surrounding you and holding you in his arms, whatever allows you to feel comfortable and where you feel secure it doesn't have to be what we're suggesting at all. You know what makes you feel comfortable. I've always felt very close to my guardian angels.
Mm-hmm.
And even from the time that I was small, I didn't realize, but I'd be walking, I'd babysit at night, and it'd be 2:30 in the morning, and nobody would give me a ride home. I'd be walking, and it could be a little frightening out there in the dark, walking, home. And I would have conversations going on right next to me. I knew there was somebody, there, and I would talk. The conversation was going back and forth. Now I know that I was actually speaking to my guardian angel. I know it now, but back then it was like something to still my mind so that I wouldn't be afraid.
Yeah.
So I do want to mention one other thing, is that when you are in meditation and there is something that's coming to you, and it's sort of, it seems like it's something disruptive, brush it aside, because, the mind keeps wanting to interfere. But I have to say that if it does keep coming back, there might be something there that you need to look at.
Yeah.
It depends on what area you're doing your meditations in. But if it's just, we have to protect ourselves, because we're open to spirit. We're open to, whatever's out there. And I actually, at one point in time, in my work situation, I decided I'm going to start monitoring my thoughts. And I started, I was working, I'd be working away, and all of a sudden, these thoughts would come through my mind, not even words I would say. And all of a sudden, they're floating through my mind or my brain. And I thought, whoa, that's not me. Mm. So we do, there are things out there that come to us. That's why that protection is so important, and the recognition that those, that you are protected, and the acknowledgement, putting the intention out is a very, very big thing, to do that. And but again, like I said, do it slowly, and the more and more that you do it, the more relaxed you'll feel. Before we wind down, I do want to mention that oftentimes people, they don't know when they're in the meditative state. And just a few of the ways that you can recognize that you are in the meditative state. If you're sitting there and you're in a meditative state, and check and see if you can lift your finger. And if your finger's heavy and it just you don't seem to want to be able to lift it, that's an indication that you are in that alpha state, that meditative state. And there are sensations and people can be frightened away with these too, because they might start having flickering of the eyes, or they might experience some kind of tingling going on, or their body gets really heavy. So there are things of that nature that can occur, and it can scare them. It can, just frighten them off. There's something strange going on with me. But realize that by using those protective energies and knowing that your divine ones are there, you are safe, and it'll help you to relax and go further into that space.
If you're going to do a meditation, because you are, right?
I'll do it. Yeah, but I can do a short meditation.
Well, no. You take as much time as you need. There's nobody behind us.
Okay.
So you can do however long you need. It's fine.
Neshi, I want to share a story about Ortrun that I think can be helpful.
Sure.
She worked as a systems analyst, and she was working for a local school board. And this was after when we were first married. And after, I don't know, a couple of months, she was coming home in tears. The people there were so judgmental, so critical. And there were, 36 people in that department. And after coming home in tears for a couple of weeks, she made a decision. She said, I'm either going to change that place or I'm going to have to quit. And what she did is every morning in meditation, she would picture each of these individual 36 people in a bubble of light. And she would fill them, and she would fill their work area in light and love and joy. And she would also go into a light level when she was driving to work, doing the same thing. And after about 6 weeks, people began quitting. And after 6 months, they had dropped from 36 people to 18 people. All of the work was being done nobody was working longer or harder, and the people that left were the ones that were the negative personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't that Ortrun was doing that alone, but when she started doing that, some of the positive people unconsciously felt empowered and began to increase their positive nature. So that's the amount of power that we have using meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then if there's something that comes to you that seems negative, that's being charged at your, as coming your way, put up that as quickly as possible, that protective light. Fill yourself with that divine radiant light and love, and send light and love to that person that might be sending you those kind of thoughts or feelings.
Let's meditate.
That
I'm ready.
He's ready. So there's so much that can happen when you utilize meditation. And as I mentioned, the more that you do it, the more it is around you all the time. It becomes a part of your life. I know that when I was in one of, I think, is it Amantha? When Amantha was here from Ireland, and she does the drumming to see, how open you are and so on. And she was using the drum and she was using it around my head. And she said, she says, yours is totally open. She said, the communication's going. And that's where I've gotten to. I wasn't always there. It is a process. So recognize though, but the part that it's important that you trust and continue to know that the more that you start to focus within and have those divine ones working with you, the easier it gets and the more and more occurs for you. So that, as I mentioned, it's a way of life. Then, you may be doing the dishes, but now you know that they're there and you can talk to them.
Right.
Or you've got a problem that you need to solve during the day. And so in your mind, you can just speak to them and they will help you. I used to, when I was working also, because I'd get tense, I'd actually go to the bathroom and sit in the stall for a while so that I could take a few deep breaths by myself, just so that I could realign. Mm-hmm. So you just find little ways, techniques of separating yourself so that you can get back into that center.
Using the tools.
Yeah, utilizing tools. And you're given them, these are things that I'm self-taught, I didn't learn these things from someone else. I learned these things on my own. And so I just, started sharing them with, individuals. So, but know that you are guided, you are protected, and, that you're so loved, and that you have a tremendous purpose on this planet. Your being on this planet is so important because you wouldn't be here if you and what it is you bring to the planet wasn't important. So I think also if you know that and you realize that and accept that makes it much more easier for you to meditate also. Yeah. So
I think Carl's already there.
He's already there. He's already meditating. So okay, well then let's just go ahead and do that. Unless there's a question or anything.
Let me check quick here.
Or a comment.
Yeah, here's a comment from Judy. She says, sorry, my phone picked up your voices. Also, what I was trying to say is I finally feel safe with all of you wonderful, beautiful people supporting me finally, and I'm more open to my gifts than I know Creator gave me.
That's wonderful, Judy. And, I'm glad that we were able to, in some little way, help you, assist you, with that. But it was really you, because you're the one that accepted it. You're the one that found that aspect of yourself and felt comfortable with it. So that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and have you close your eyes. And take a few deep breaths. And allow yourself to focus inward. and begin to listen. Rumi says, there is a voice that does not speak words. Listen. Listen to the holy silence that is more than any sound. Hear it say, I love you, as it encircles you around. Hear it say, I love you no matter what you do. I am with you always, in your pain and sorrow too. I am in each blade of grass, in each distant star, and wherever I am, you are. I am that I am. Sense the essence of the I am presence that is within you. Feel the energies of divine radiant light and love as they are surrounding you and protecting you in a cocoon of divine radiant light and love. I am that I am. The voice of the I am beckons you. It beckons you to go within, deeper and deeper, until you're in that space, that divine space, where the divine educator of your being comes forth. And here in this place, whether it be in the forest or whether it be in a sacred temple, you look upon each other. You begin to walk towards each other, closer and closer. And as you are walking closer and closer, your eyes meet. They lock with one another. And there, as you look into the eyes of the I am that is before you, you recognize that this is the I am that I am. That divine one that is you. That divine essence that is you. Find yourself merging together with this divine essence, uniting wholly and completely with this part of yourself. And feel that love. Feel that essence of the oneness that is there, where there is no separation. There is no judgment. There is only the feeling of love, of peace, of joy, of goodness, of strength, of honor, of glory. The I am that I am. The I am that dwells within. Find yourself now, making yourself comfortable, sitting across from one another. And in this space, begin to ask questions. Questions that you have been seeking answers for. And sense that guidance is being given. Answers flow freely, but most of all, you feel the light, the love, the peace, the joy, the oneness. And as you sit together and commune with one another, there is this divine radiant light and love that shines. It's as though there is coming before you this stairway of higher ascension. It is there manifesting before your eyes. And the I am of you and you yourself again find yourself merging together. Together, you begin to walk up this stairway of higher consciousness. It is surrounded by golden light, but each step also is permeating a color from it. So you experience as you're walking up this staircase, the yellows, the greens, the oranges, the violets, the indigos, the reds. They're all there, and you find them surrounding you. Feel their vibration. Feel the energy that they carry. You and your I am walk together hand in hand up this stairway of higher consciousness. Your mind begins to expand the higher and higher that you walk up this staircase. Your heart center is opened wide. Your third eye is opened wide. But yet you find yourself having connection to Mother Gaia. And these energies that you're experiencing are swirling up from the center of Mother Gaia. And they're swirling about and swirling around you. But as the higher that you get, you begin to sense energies starting to also spiral downward from the heart and mind of Divine Creator. And you continue walking further and further up this staircase. These energies of the heavens and of the earth are blended together in oneness. And as you are atop of this staircase, you step into yet another level of awareness and consciousness. You're taking your step up into the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy. The reflection of that which you are, for as above, so below. And you walk the spiral. You walk the spiral of the Milky Way galaxy with your I am presence and go even further. And you walk beyond this universe, moving on yet to another universe and yet another, for your eyes are being opened wider and wider. And your mind, your awareness is being increased for that which is of the wisdom and of universe is becoming a part of you. And so you see swirling around you the many galaxies, for you are part of them. You find yourself at one every direction that you look, with everything that you see, with every sound vibration that you hear. You are becoming at one. For you are now connecting with that divine aspect of the Creator that you are. And you find yourself blending together with the other aspects of the divine Creator. And there is no more separation here now. There's only a sense of love, a sense of peace, of knowing, of joy. And allow yourself to bask in this for just a moment. And as you're basking in this, sense the divine breath of Creator within you. Sense the heartbeat of the Creator within you. For you are united with all that there is. You have united with all that there is. Your mind has been expanded. You realize that you are all that there is, for you are part of divine Creator God. Embrace it. Breathe it in. Exhale it out. Breathing in the divine, exhaling the divine, and sense that growing of the divine. For you bring back also to the divine another breath, another bit of awareness and consciousness. The divine is forever growing and expanding. And as you have taken rest in this space, realize that this is always a part of you. And as you do so, you begin to start focusing your mind back to the stairway. So you and your I am begin to walk back from the universe which you visited, the galaxies. And you move back and step into the Milky Way. And you step on down into the stairway of higher ascension which you experienced. And you come down that stairway. And you and the I am presence of you begin to feel your feet back on the ground. Sense the swishing of that beautiful, beautiful dirt within your toes the beautiful soil, that rich soil of our planet, and find yourself bringing back your experience, your new awareness, the recognition of who it is that you truly are, that you are never alone, that you are part of the whole. Bring yourself back and find yourself now in that space within your heart, giving thanks, opening your eyes and looking around, experiencing the new world for you. You see it now through the eyes of the Creator that you are. So it is, and for so it shall be.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I loved it.
Thank you.
Coming back sometimes isn't the easiest to do because it feels so good out there.
Right. And
Well, as you come back, you can realize how deep you really were, too.
mhm.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody that was participated with us tonight. Thank you.
Yes.
'Cause you added your energy to the meditation and to this whole talk. So thank you.
Yes, you're always part of that energy vibration. So that, if there are the more people that are gathered together, the more, that energy is able to build itself. And, every time that we meditate together, we are sending that divine essence to so many different parts. And it is also, again, grounded into the Akasha, not only of the planet, but all of creation. So thank you so much for all of you. Thank you, Connie.
Yes.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Judy. And I don't know, there are many others that joined us, I know, but I don't know who they are. But we love you all. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. So, and we hope you have an absolutely beautiful month. And next month, again, it will be the last Thursday of the month. So just make a note of that. And I'll get something out on it also. But
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. And thank everybody who'll be watching the recorded show. Thank you too.
Sure.
And if we can ask you to please like and share the show so that so many other people will be able to enjoy it too. So with that, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Ortrun, for this evening.
Thank you, Neshi.
Thank you, Neshi, for
You're
doing
welcome.
hosting us. I mean, and we appreciate that.
Oh, that's great. So, and with that, we'll see you all next month here for the Mystery School, the last Thursday of the month at 8 p.m.
I want to say that those of you that are in the Grand Rapids area next month, the third Thursday of the month, we have our classes that are starting up, the Mystery Truth classes at our home. So for anyone that's in that area, you are more than welcome to come to our place. And if you need information, Our Spiritual Ascension is our site. So ourspiritualascension.com. So look us up, and if there's anything we can do for you, we'd be pleased to get with us.
I'm going to put that in the comments,
Okay.
the website, so that people will have it. I'll get a hold of you.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you again for everyone that was with us, and blessings, divine blessings to all of you.
Blessings to you too. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.